Let's take a look at this very simple little bounce pad that I made. As you can see, when I jump on it, it bounces me back into the air. But when I jump off it from a higher height, it bounces me back, well, more. And even more height gives me an even bigger bounce. It literally is just a trampoline. It's fairly simple, so let's get straight into it. We're in an entirely empty project. I'm going to reconstruct it here. If you want the project files, as always, there's a link down below for YouTube members and patrons in the description. Help support the channel, gives you the project files to mess around with. But even without those, this is a very, very simple blueprint. So let's just get started making a blueprint actor called BP Bounce Pad or something along those lines. And in there, I'm going to add just some visualization. For now, that's going to be just a cube. In the example you just saw, there was a squeezed down sphere with a see-through material on it and all that kind of stuff. You can do whatever you want here. Even just make a decal for it instead. Feel free to be creative, is the point here. I'm going to take the scale of this cube though and set it down to be super, super thin, so that we really get the feeling of this being a, well, just slim little bounce pad. And I'm going to add one more thing to it, and that's going to be a box collision. The box collision we're going to make roughly the same size as whatever our visual is for it. I know that to be about 50 by 50 in the X and Y. And then the Z, which is the height of our collision box, is going to be very thin. Something like only 3 units. And we want to pull this up so that it is just above our actual bounce pad. You don't want this to be too thin because it might start being a little tricky with registering proper collision, but also not too thick because then you're going to be bouncing back before you visually get anywhere close to your bounce pad. And with that done, we can go into the event graph where we're going to go into event actor begin overlap. There we're going to cast to, you can either make this a specific cast to your player character class, which will also immediately work as a filter, so that this only works when your player jumps onto it. Generally, it is better to cast as generically as possible, and we're going to cast to the character class itself. The added upside to this, or downside depending on what you want, is that any type of character will now be able to bounce off of this. If you don't want your enemy characters to be able to bounce from this, maybe just casting to your player character makes a lot more sense, or otherwise doing it is a soft and checking if the class that you're colliding with is your player character class instead. Or just do equal get player character. That also works. Not the point of this video though. We're working off of characters here. Normal pawns are not going to work because we're going to use some functionality in the character movement component. So let's get the character movement component. Because this component has a very nice little thing that we can make use of, and that is get last update velocity. This one is different from just normal get velocity, which we can get as a normal vector, because this one, the just normal get velocity, gets your velocity right now on this game frame. This get last update velocity gets your velocity at the end of the last frame. And the reason that that is important here is because when we go down, if we look at this from this side view, this is a very thin collider. So by the time we enter it, we might still be falling, but we also might enter this on a frame where we are landing. There's a very good chance that if we are over here on one frame, we could be just touching it over here on the next frame, or we could already be just above it on one frame, and on the next frame we just landed. We're just on the ground, we're not falling anymore. If we just use our normal current velocity, a lot of the time when we get this, it's going to be, well, 0 in the up and down direction because we're no longer falling. If we get our last update velocity, that's always going to be the velocity that we had on the previous frame. And as such, we can reliably assume that this is going to be at least a not 0 velocity. It's going to be a downward, a falling velocity. And with that in mind, we can just, with the character, launch the character, overwrite the Z, ignore the X and the Y entirely, and we split the launch velocity into XYZ components. Separately, you do the same thing with the get last update velocity, and all we need to do is we need to get the Z velocity here, and we need to multiply it by -1 to turn it from a negative, going downward velocity, into a positive, going upward velocity. And just like that, we have a simple bounce pad. There literally isn't more to it than just that. This is just going to send you back up with the exact same velocity that you were coming down with, which more or less means, unless you have some terminal velocity set up in your game, you're going to be accelerating up as fast as you were accelerating down, and should be able to get up more or less to roughly the same place that you jumped off from. Depends on your gravity settings and all that kind of stuff as well, but as a general rule of thumb, you should be able to make that work. The one downside to this is if we rotate this thing, let's say about 40 degrees, this is always going to send me straight up. This is not sending me in a like diagonal direction here. It's just always going to send me straight up, which is maybe not what you want. And you could do a whole lot of extra code and extra math to make it do that. I think it is personally easier to just make a variation of the bounce pad, one specifically for just trampoline affecting, just straight on the ground, and one that is more useful for sloped surfaces. Making a single blueprint that is useful for both, obviously possible, but overall probably more effort than it is worth compared to just making two very similar but simpler blueprints. So let's make that simpler of a blueprint. And if we open that one up and I put that on my main monitor here for you, there's going to be a couple of changes that we want to make, because this one we want to also launch ourselves in the X and Y direction. And now we need to decide, okay, what X and Y direction do we launch our character in? And that's going to be done based on, well, what direction is this thing facing in? And we want to figure out the up direction, the thing perpendicular to, well, the floor. And we have a function for that just built in, get actor up vector. This just gets us a vector in world space that represents whatever up means for this vector. So if we put this into the world, right now the up vector is this. It's the blue arrow in local space. But if I rotate this thing around a little, and we make sure that I am in local space coordinates, we can see the blue arrow is now pointing this direction. That is the actor up vector. Let's make that a little bit bigger. So with that vector, we can just launch in that direction, right? Let's recombine structure pin on launch character, launch it in that direction, and, well, no, because it's going to launch us with a power, a magnitude of essentially nothing. For that, we're going to take the length of this vector and apply it to this vector. So we're going to take this direction and the speed from this one, combine them into a new vector that we're going to use for our new launching velocity. So if we recombine the structure pin and we get the vector length, and alternatively what we could do, by the way, is we could just have a addition node and break the vector and just add x plus y plus z. That's not quite the same as getting the vector length, and this might be better in conveying how fast our character was moving in all three axes to put that into this. I would advise just try both of these and see which one feels better for you in a couple of different situations. I'm going to show you the difference between them right here. But we multiply that with the actor up vector. So let's do it with the vector length first. Put that into the launch velocity. And that will start launching us off at least a bit. Not that much. And that's because by the time we were hitting this thing, we weren't really moving that much in the X and Y, and we were only moving a little bit in the Z direction. So the length of it, well, it's heavily influenced by all three axes. And if some of these axes are close to 0, the length starts being a very small number. That's why adding up all these three numbers might be a better way to do it. Although these numbers can be negative, which is not what we want. So we want to take the absolute value for all three. So let's disconnect these real quick and add in 2 more absolute values. And that just takes the, well, speed of it, the absolute value. Doesn't matter if it is negative or positive, it's going to output the positive version of that value. And if we use that instead, I personally think that this feels better and more like what you would expect it to feel like. It's a very small difference, but you could see that that bounces me just a little bit more. And especially if I just run into this with a little bit more like lateral power, you can definitely see that it starts pushing me back a lot more. Then if we combine that with, for instance, this bounce pad, we can start seeing that we can make a, well, fun little bit of bouncing platforming. And now we have these two things which both work in their own way. This one, don't get me wrong, also works fine if you just jump on it while it is equal with the ground, but it bounces you up a little bit higher than this one does, just because of the way that it works. And instead of messing around with all of those numbers and trying to get that all coalesced into one blueprint, it's just easier to make these into two different blueprints that both have their own specific purpose. And if you want to help support me make more of this content, you can get the project files for any tutorial that I make on my Patreon or as a YouTube member. To help support the channel, it gives you access to the project files to learn from and mess around with. And of course, an extra big thank you to my Cave Students tier supporters, Oiku and Earl Monteval Urno, and my Cave Digger tier supporters, Classy Crustaceo, the Josh Mater, Mauricio Farias, Brendan D. Hill, and Chang the Dude.